first podcast that we've ever produced in the LA studio, but it is my first podcast to host, and I'm excited. So we talked a little bit before. Obviously, the people in Tulsa know who you are, and if they don't,
I don't know.
Then they
might
should.
not.
But I'll let you introduce yourself, kind of tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. We were talking about this earlier, but normally I have a podcast of my own. It's called Beyond the Forecast. It's so popular in Tulsa. But you know what? No, it's not really. Hopefully someday it might be popular. But this is going to be really unusual for me because normally I'm the one asking the questions versus giving the answers. So, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be the first podcast guest on your podcast. So thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
So yeah, I mean, thank you for the kind introduction. I've, lucky to be doing the weather in a town that I'm from. At one point I even lived right down the street from here, but I was born at St. John. I already forgot what hospital. I don't remember. I was too young.
Hospital.
Yeah, I was born at St. John in 1981. It was a great year, and so I've been born, raised here. My family's from here. And it's just a really cool gig to have, to be able to give the weather to your friends, your family, and then just the people that you've grown up with, and the same type of folks that know about Tulsa and Oklahoma.
So you said that when we talked that you have been interested in the weather since you were 6 years old. I want to hear more about that.
Well, it's weird because it does go kind of a dark place, and then we see the light.
And then we get better? Okay.
It does get better. When I was 6 years old, my favorite uncle, my other uncle, always knew that this was my favorite uncle. His name was Uncle Mike. My Uncle Paul always knew Uncle Mike was my favorite. So we'll get to that in just a second of how Uncle Paul feels about this. But Uncle Mike was always my favorite. He would do things with me. We would go, Oxley Nature Center. These are memories I have at such a young age with him, doing these fun, awesome things. And so I grew up with him. He was kind of like a father figure to me. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with leukemia, and it was a rare leukemia. And he died within 6 months. So it was from having my favorite uncle there to death. And the funeral, I just remember very vividly. I could tell you exactly like where I was at, and it was dark. It was rainy. It was cloudy, just damp and cool. The couple of days that we had people over at my grandparents' house, and it just was depressing. So after the funeral, my dad took me home. My mom stayed back with my grandma. My dad took me back home, and I got outside, went to play, and the skies just parted. Sunshine just shined through. Beautiful big rainbow. And it was like, for me personally, it was a message saying, hey, you know what? I've got your back. I'm here. I'm watching you. You're good.
Yeah.
And that fascinated me so much with the weather. So, we took something that was pretty dark in life, but it almost like it was a message, hey, here's your path in life, Mike. I'm kind of giving you a heads up, just a little assistance. So it lit a spark in me. And so ever since that time, I've been sometimes borderline obsessed with weather. I consider healthy obsession.
Healthy obsession, yeah.
And so that's how it all began for me.
So that's interesting that you bring that up because you are an obvious believer. You make that pretty well known throughout social media. And
absolutely.
Something I've always admired about you, I think as a weatherman, you sometimes get those people that are like, weathermen know nothing.
Right.
They're always wrong. And I've noticed, our world can be brutal, and people on social media can especially be brutal. And I've seen multiple times where people have said something on a post that you've made. And I love when you fire back just like, Jesus loves you.
Yeah, right.
And I love that about you, and I love that that's your approach.
Well, thank you very much. But I'll tell you, it wasn't easy getting to that point. In the beginning, I took things so personally, and I was like so upset. And one day, it just dawned on me, you know what? We're all going through something in life, and we all have these chains we carry in life, and this baggage that we have, and it weighs us down, and it takes us from who we really are. And so I decided at that point that I wasn't going to let someone else's personal issues be my issue.
Yeah.
So, I could see when they're some are joking and it's funny and that's fun. But some are really just like from
angry.
Yeah, real
like
angry.
From a deep level.
Yeah, and something's going on in their life. And if I can just give them some positivity, and it positivity always works.
Yep.
And it's been a good response, and I feel for the people that do get negative.
Yeah.
But they're going through things in life.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, I love your response. So keep it up, because it reminds us of like you said, just the positivity and changing your perspective. And I think you're probably encouraging people that you have no idea that you're actually encouraging with those types of responses to the negativity.
It's so much easier to be negative back.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, well, forget you, you stink, whatever. I've kept that PG because you could say a lot more. And that's the quick, natural reaction. But what I try to do is just take a deep breath, just a small little prayer, just a little thought, and thinking, you know what? How should I respond?
Yeah.
And then, bloop, there it goes.
Well, I love that. We did collect a couple of questions.
Great.
Most of them are from little ones.
Okay.
The first one, she wants to know, what is the average amount of tornadoes in Oklahoma each year?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That you may or may not know.
I want to know how old that person was.
She is 10.
Oh my gosh, that's
and she is my daughter.
Okay, well, your daughter's, that is really great question for a 10-year-old. I don't know that answer off the top of my head because I've only seen it 10,000 times and I can't remember. But I can tell you that on average, we look at, like, this month has been below average. I can tell you that much for the month of May. I can tell you that March, April, May are into middle of June are the biggest months for tornadoes here in East Oklahoma, and then diminished, but it does increase again in October. So it's kind of a miniature severe weather season during that time. In 2 years ago, I can tell you other statistics, but I can't give you that one. 2 years ago, 2019, we had over 300 tornadoes,
right?
Which was a record. It was unbelievable. It was historic. We had the flooding. And then last year and this year have been very, very quiet. Very, very quiet.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. And so we've been seeing below average tornadoes. I'm trying to even think if we've even seen a tornado in the state this month so far, which would be crazy to think about.
That would be crazy.
But it was very similar to last year as well. So if I was to just remember off the top of my head, I think it's like, probably on average, we see about 250 tornadoes a year.
Wow.
Don't quote me, though.
That's a lot. Okay, next question. Have you ever been in a tornado?
No. No.
What?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I kind of was like, I bet he's going to say no. You've really never been in a tornado?
I've only seen one teeny little tiny tornado in my life.
That is hilarious.
I know. And I try to tell people this. They're like, I'm so scared of tornadoes. I'm like, I haven't even I've seen one. I've been chasing so many times. And when I used to chase and have time, it was before technology of on your phone. You could get everything. It was just, you look at the data and then you pick a spot and you hope you're right.
Yeah.
Now you have it all on your phone and you can maneuver. I just don't have time for that because of family, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
I saw one out near Stillwater and that's it.
That's it.
One. And it was weak.
And it was weak.
It was brief.
Nothing to write home about.
Yeah, boring.
Okay, well, maybe someday.
Well, I've seen plenty on TV.
Yeah. Not the same.
Not the
same when you don't have to run in the closet with helmets and shoes and a mattress and all
right.
that.
So I used to be really scared of weather when I was a kid too.
Oh, really?
Like, the anxiety in my stomach. Just May 3rd of 99, I remember watching TV and just like scared to death. I was like, this tornado is going to kill me. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and watching from like 6 o'clock in the evening till midnight. And then nothing really happened here where I lived. It did West Tulsa, but and I'm not trying to deflate anybody's fears. It's a good, healthy fear to have. At least a little bit.
I definitely have the fear of the tornadoes.
You do?
I do.
Okay. So what's your
I
fear?
am like the hives breaker outer, the panicker.
Okay.
It used to be worse back like in college, and then it got because I mean we lived in a dorm, so it was like we're totally dead. But then it got a little better, and then now that I have kids, I think that's kind of the panic is like,
Sure.
Where is everybody?
Right.
And making sure that we, have everybody covered, and then just keeping them calm. But my parents live right around the corner from us. They have a tornado shelter, which helps. And then the kids are in Bixby West, and they have the huge PE gyms now that have like the tornado walls, tornado approved walls.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, when they're at school, they're good. At home, I think we talked about this a minute ago. I think it's the fear of the unknown. Yep. And maybe I'm a little bit of a control freak and not knowing what's going to happen.
Can I tell you a quick story? I don't want to take up your whole podcast. I'd be really quick.
No, you're good.
So there was an old wise man who was really poor in a village, and he was extremely poor. He had a beautiful white horse, though. The king came to him and said, "Sir, would you be willing to sell me that horse? I'll pay you all the money in the world if you give me that beautiful horse." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not going to give you my horse." And the king's like, "You're crazy. You're going to be cursed the rest of your life, and see you later." And so the king went away. The villagers came up and like, you idiot, you should have sold him the horse. You could have been rich and never had to worry about money ever again. And he's like, "Well, right now, all I know is I have a horse, and he's my friend, so I could never put a price on him." Well, 10 days later, that horse goes missing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the villagers come running to him like, "See, we told you. Now you have nothing in life whatsoever. You're poor. You're never going to make it. You're cursed." And the villager or the old man said, "You know what? I don't know if I'm cursed or blessed. I just know that I don't have a horse. That's all I know right now. I don't have a horse." And they're like, "Whatever." So they left. Well, 10 days later, the horse comes back with 15 wild horses, okay? Mm-hmm. So this white horse, beautiful white horse, 15 white horses come back to this guy. And the villagers come up like, "Whoa, now you look how blessed you are. You have 15 horses and you've got your white horse. This is amazing." And the old man goes, "You know what? I don't know if I'm blessed or cursed or not. I just know I've got 15 horses and my horse is back. So that I'm very grateful and thankful to God for." And so his son comes into town to visit him, and his son helps him break one of the horses. Well, unfortunately, he fell and broke both of his legs off breaking one of these wild horses. Mm-hmm. The villagers come back to him like, "Oh, you're cursed. I mean, look, your son, he can't walk. You're poor. You have no money. I mean, this is just bad." And the old man goes, "I don't know if I'm cursed or blessed. I just know the situation right now." Well, there was a big war between neighboring countries, and all the sons were called up to go to war. And so the battle was fought, and unfortunately, all the males died. So left was his son. And so the villagers run up to him, "Look how blessed you are. Your son is safe." And he's like, "I don't know if I'm blessed or cursed. I just know that my son is getting better, and I've got these horses.
And I've got all these horses."
Yeah. So obviously the point of that being is what we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
And we can't worry about what we don't know.
Yeah.
And so we focus on what we have right in the minute. And so that's with, weather. We don't know. We could come up with 1,000 solutions of, well, this is going to hit me, so all this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. You're clinging on to one out of a possible 1,000,000 solutions to that. Yep. Why are we clinging on that one? Why don't you pick out you're going to win the lottery? Let's focus on that, Yeah. So never cling on to anything too strong, because it's probably going to let you down. So sorry.
I think that's very good weather advice. And somebody else has actually told me that too, kind of thinking about like the chances of a tornado dropping right down on your house and blowing you completely away is very slim to none.
Yeah. So you probably have the same odds of some sweepstakes coming by and giving you $1 million, and you move to Bermuda and you don't have to worry about it. Then you get hit by a hurricane.
Then you're dealing with hurricanes. Yeah, exactly. I think it's also those middle of the night when the app starts starts going off, and then all of a sudden you find Mike on Facebook, and it's like, take cover now, and you're like having to get the kids, and those are always fun.
Those are, that's understandable. We live in a state that has to deal with tornadoes. I mean, but really the statistical chance is pretty low that you'll ever be impacted by one. And if you are, the biggest way to stay calm is to be prepared. Mm-hmm. And if you're prepared, it's on our new promos, be prepared, not scared. If you have a plan in place, that app goes off, tornado warning in the middle of the night. All right, I know what I'm going to do. Grab my kids. We're going to go here. And if you're taking cover, the statistical chance go way down of you even having any major impact.
So I have a suggestion for the app.
Take it. Okay. Bring it. Sorry. I'll take it. You bring it.
So when you want us to be calm when there's a tornado warning, I think the app,
okay.
You know where I'm going with this, shouldn't have this horrible firing siren that goes off in our rooms 5 times from all different, the iPad, the computer. So it's like, it's so loud and it's like doomsday.
I hear you.
Instead, maybe it could be like, we're letting you know.
Hi, this is Mike Collier.
Please get out of bed.
You are about to die.
So, that like instantly strikes fear, and everyone and the kids are like, oh my gosh. So that's just my advice.
I get it because, I have to keep my phone on overnight too. And there was in May of 2019, I got that notification and I flipped out because the sirens were going off, my phone went off, and this was at 6:45 in the morning. So the morning shift has that duty. Yep. But if there's a tornado, I typically have to be at work. Yep. So it went off, and I heard the winds pick up. So I know the inflow to that storm was great. I didn't know where it was at. I just knew there was a tornado nearby, and I was like, honey, I got to go. I got to work like a record timing. I went Facebook Live on my way there. Yeah. And then when I arrived, it was in the morning show, which is very rare for me ever to have to show up. So I know that feeling for sure.
Yeah, it's a crazy one. I'm going to go back to these questions. Okay. So this one's from a 5-year-old.
Great. Hopefully a little easier than the last one.
He said, I'm sorry, 6-year-old. He's 6. Okay. I think it's easy, but it might be a long one. Okay. And these are his quoted words. How are you so smart that you know if there is a tornado or not?
I love that.
How are you so smart, Mike, that you know?
I need him to be my hype guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he totally would.
Luckily we have radar. Channel 2 actually has its own live radar, which I think is one of the last few stations in the state, in Eastern Oklahoma to have one. Mm-hmm. It's really important because that is constantly scanning the skies and it's sending out these pulses. Mm-hmm. And when these pulses come back, we call that reflectivity. Mm-hmm. And it tells us with the pulse how dense that is, how heavy the rainfall is, or how many particles there are in a close area. And so that means there's a lot of rain, so it shows up brighter on our radar. Mm-hmm. But also tells us, and this is where Doppler comes involved, it tells us which direction that raindrop's traveling to. So if it's going from here to here pretty fast, we know there's strong winds in that area. Mm-hmm. And we can measure the wind speed by measuring the raindrops location from point A to point B, the time it takes from to reach that. And so that's all interpolated. And so we're able to see where the tornadoes are. And then we need chasers to be there on the ground to verify, because we could have strong rotation where we feel about 80% confident there's a tornado there, but we don't know till we see it.
Till you see it.
Yeah. Or get reports of it. So Doppler is critical, and the advanced warning nowadays is amazing.
Yeah. That kind of brings me into my next question. Okay. And this was my question because growing up, I don't even know, are green screens still a thing or no?
What's a green screen? No, just kidding.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
They are? Okay.
Yeah.
For real, do you still use a green screen? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So it was always so funny to me because I remember being a little girl and being like, wow, that whole TV with the map and it's moving and how do they, and somebody once when I was little, burst my bubble and said, it's a green screen. It's not even there. They're watching, and then the weather person, the meteorologist, they're doing all this kind of stuff. So my question for you is, dun, 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 how did you learn how to use a green screen? I wanted to first know if you were still using them because I didn't really know because I really watch you on social media now.
Right.
But anyways, green screen story.
Do you know why it's the color green?
Well, just so that it can. No, actually, I don't.
No? Okay.
I should know that, being the owner of a production company. Mike's over here going,
See,
gosh,
this is
Lauren.
payback for the tornado question. It's green because nobody wears green.
Oh,
in
yes,
theory.
yes,
You know, I
yeah.
mean, you don't want me wearing a green suit.
No.
So, because when the monitor or the camera interprets the video, we have a computer chip that chroma key green actually colors out everything that color.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I was to wear green, I'd be like the invisible headless or head only weatherman.
Man.
Yeah. So I learned when I was 17, and it's not that difficult. It really isn't. And I could do it. I could literally like just close my eyes and know where I'm pointing. It's just.
And then you have like the monitors on the sides, right? That you can see yourself.
One to the left, one to the right, and one in front of me. And
interesting.
I have a tendency to look too much at the one on the right because I can actually see that monitor. Like my vision's getting bad, so the one in front of me I can't see. But that's where the audience is. So it's like, but I can see right here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How long did it take for you to master all of that? Because that's kind of a weird.
Yeah, I mean, over time, like to me in the beginning, I was really pretty rough. I mean, I felt like I was rough until like last year. No, I'm still rough. No, I mean, it takes a couple of years to get that under your belt, and then it's like riding a bike.
Yeah. Okay, so I have one more. I have a statement from a 3-year-old. This is what he wanted me to tell you.
Statement. I love statements.
Mm-hmm. This is it. This is all he had. Please, please tell us if it is good or bad. I am thinking he's referring to the weather.
Yeah.
So just let us know, keep letting us know, Mike, if the weather is good or bad.
It's so personal because I'll post something on, hey, it's going to rain like 3 to 5 inches. And you'll see like today, like, you stink. Someone was like, okay, bye. Like they're done with me. Like I'm unfollowing this guy. Yeah. And then some are like, oh, I just love the rain it is. So
perspective, right?
It's perspective. Yeah. And so, but you know what? I am the messenger, and people love to kill the messenger. Like,
unfortunately,
I'm like the beating bag. You suck.
Yeah, I know. Okay, my last topic. We're gonna wrap it up after this, but this is kind of the theme of like the rebound of 2021 is how did we all escape, survive, come back from COVID? And it was interesting for everyone to see everybody pivot and come up with new ways. And I loved how you started. I mean, a lot of the, I guess a lot of just broadcast in general had to go home and Zoom. So let's talk a little bit just about that experience with working from home as a meteorologist.
It sucks. It does.
It's crazy.
I dislike it. I love it because I get to be with my family more. I dislike it because I am literally the photog, the computer. I'm just everything all in one.
Yes.
And it's stressful enough, like hearing cues in your ear and wondering, is my phone, which is my camera, running an app to broadcast to hundreds of thousands of people? Is it still? And then, oh wait, the warranty guy's calling me. Oh, my warranty's out, and I'm like, it cuts the live shot off.
Yeah.
And
you're like, wait.
This past February, my daughter had COVID, so our work's very strict, so I had to stay home for 2 weeks, and it was during the major winter blast. And we did wall-to-wall winter coverage for like 4 hours on that Sunday morning. And I was all upstairs, and it stunk. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any of my computers, so I have to like tap into it through the internet, and like, it's slower to move things around, and I'm like having to make up clickers. Like I download apps, but which is my camera. It's so complicated, but it's amazing that we can do it at the same time.
Yeah. So safe to say you like to
give me the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get me back home. But like with a lot of things with COVID, it also gave you a little bit of appreciation for your team.
Amen to that.
It's kind of like you have to find the silver lining. So you're like, okay, I do appreciate all of my people and everything that they do.
Absolutely. So. I think, I was telling my boss, he's in the station and seeing me at home. I'm like, if you only knew like how many things are going on here, it's insanity. And to just try to stay focused is another thing. And then people would write in and say, one person wrote in, you look like you're standing in front of a high school projector. I'm like, I'm in my upstairs. I mean, what do you want?
What do you want
Yeah,
from me,
I don't
people?
have station lighting or TV lighting here.
That's awesome.
It's like $20 off Amazon.
Well, I loved it. I thought you did a great job.
Thank you very much.
So,
Appreciate
all right. Well, that's it. Mike and Mike, we are good to go.
Number
We're
one
all done.
in the book.
All done. That's a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you very much.